This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the iPhone 12, or the iPhone 12 not Pro. But it's creeping up there in features and also price, so it's not as far apart from the Pro model as it used to be. It starts at $799 to $829, depends on whether you go with a carrier model or not in the United States, or unlocked, or major carrier or not. And this time you get a lot of the Pro features, which makes it a little bit more captivating. You get the OLED display, for example, same resolution as on the 12 Pro, so no more LCD display. Of course, you get the latest and greatest Apple CPU, which is the A14 Bionic, which is silly fast, foolishly fast. I mean, faster than even last year's generation, of course, but we're reaching the point where our phones are even faster than we need them to be, but happily Apple uses it for its nice photography. And speaking of photography and computational photography features, you've got the same main and ultra-wide cameras as you would get on the Pro model. What are you missing though? The telephoto lens and no LiDAR. I don't think LiDAR is going to really, make that much of a difference to you, but some of you might want the telephoto lens. There's a lot more to look at, which we're going to do right now. So I was really a fan of last year's price. Probably a lot of you were. $699, call it $700. Oh well, it's gone now. It's gotten a bit more expensive, but as you've heard, you're getting a nicer phone too. It's interesting what Apple is choosing to do here with that. They don't really want to go too low end anymore with their phones, but they know that they sell a lot of the not Pro models, so they're making it even more attractive, I suppose, with the features that they're adding on. But wait, there's more. In addition to the 6.1-inch size, which is the same as the last generation and also the same as the 12 Pro model, there's going to be a Mini coming out in November. You can pre-order in early November. It ships in late November, and that has a 5.4-inch display. So for those of you who are used to older iPhones, and in fact this has a iPhone 5 reminiscent design, that Leica-inspired square-sided design that Steve Jobs loved so much in the day, well, that's there for you. And that one starts at $100 less, so it is also a little bit more affordable. Of course, this is the year of 5G, so we have 5G inside. In the United States, that means low, mid, and millimeter wave, which is the super fast kind of 5G with very little coverage, but that's why there's an antenna window on the side. In terms of design, it's the usual glossy glass back that we see on, well, usual non-Pro models versus the frosted kind of glass on the Pro models, and the kind of prettier, more rich colors as a result too, more saturated. I really like this blue color. I think the product red's pretty spiffy, and the green is actually nice in person, having seen it. So you have aluminum on the sides versus stainless steel. That's still something that Apple is doing. So the good part is this is about 25 grams lighter for those of you who hate heavy phones in the pocket. And stainless steel shows a lot of fingerprints on the side. They're all going to be using cases anyway. Aluminum shows a bit less. So it weighs 164 grams. It's 7.4 millimeters thick, which is exactly the same as the 12 Pro. In fact, it's the same casing, same button layout. You can use the same cases on both of them, so that's how similar they are. It's pretty easy to hold for me. I do have big hands and long fingers, so some of you might find the squared off edges a little uncomfortable, but they're not really abrupt or sharp or anything like that. And again, you're going to be wearing a case. Speaking of the back of the phone, it's your usual glossy glass, yes, but the front has the same ceramic glass as the Pro line, which is supposed to be harder to shatter or break. I don't think particularly harder to scratch, though. And on the back, we have the same MagSafe connector that we have on the Pro line, which is that metal ring on the back that's concealed. That's a magnet in there. And optionally, you can get MagSafe cases. Right now, mostly it's first party. We have Apple's own silicone case. I know some people have said that they've started to see a ring already on the back when using Apple's new MagSafe charger. It hasn't happened for ours. It's 5 days, though. It might take more time. I don't know. Anyway, MagSafe is 15-watt fast charging on this. Now, the only way you can get 15 watt is by using the $39 MagSafe accessory charger, which, by the way, does not come with the Walmart 20-watt charging brick. That's another $19. Apple's little gotchas there. And there is no charger in the box of this iPhone, which I think you've all heard about at this point. If you have the last gen 18-watt charger, it'll still charge quickly enough, so it's fine. So we tested this with several different cases, and I can tell you leather cases that are not MagSafe cases, which means they also have a little magnetic ring embedded inside of them. no magnetism happens there. You can still charge with them just fine, but no magnetism happens. With the TPU and the plastic cases that we've tested here, we have a Totally case, which is a clear case. That one charges just fine, and there's still a little bit of magnetism. We tried a Pitaka case. That is a very thin kind of aramid carbon fibery design case. There's still a little magnetism, and that works just fine. If you go for something super thick, probably you won't get much magnetic strength anymore. You don't need the magnets to charge. Back to the MagSafe, we do have a OtterBox case. It's the Figura series, Figura, however they want to say it. Anyway, so that one has a very obvious one if you look at the inside of the case inset for the MagSafe. Now, how does this all work? There's a magnet on the back of the iPhone, no kidding, and the cases have a little bit of a magnet too. It clamps on very securely, pretty much as Apple's own silicone first-party case. So for the display, you get the Super Retina XDR display, and it's a little bit better than 1080p resolution. You can see that on the screen right now, the exact resolution of the display. It's very good looking. It's not quite as bright as the Pro line. 625 nits of max brightness, 1200 nits if you're running HDR content versus 800 nits for the 12 Pro. If you're like me and you live in a very sunny place like Texas, this can actually make a difference for outdoor viewability. I do prefer the brighter display, but that said, this is pretty viewable outdoors in bright sunlight too. They have very low reflectance glass, and that does help reduce the glare. For the cameras on this, you're getting the same main and ultra-wide cameras, 12 megapixel, and the same front true depth camera with Face ID as you would on the Pro models. The lenses are a little bit faster this year in terms of the f-stop on, so that's good. A little bit better low light photography. This is evolutionary improvement here, not some great leap forward in terms of iPhone photography, but the computational photography gets better and better. And night mode, although we don't have a lot of pictures to show you because it has been raining for 5 days and foggy at night, not the greatest for pictures, but night mode is definitely improved. And we have night mode on the ultra-wide lens. Yay, yay that. So that's a big difference now. In terms of lacking a telephoto lens, you know who you are if you're going to miss that. You do have 3x digital zoom here, but the quality's okay, especially like 2x, even sometimes 3x. But I do like a telephoto lens to do portraits, pets, kids, you know, that sort of thing. So it's up to you to decide whether you need that lens. The LiDAR is there for speeding up focus and for doing better night photography. It helps a bit with that too, and also for augmented reality. I think that's less important to a lot of people. One thing I will say about the camera is we still have lens flare. This seems to be an iPhone thing despite the sapphire glass. Same issue with the 12 Pro. If you're shooting indirectly into the sun, let alone directly into the sun, you're going to see lens flare. Maybe you'll get some great God rays or something like that, or maybe you'll just say, what are those splotches on my photograph? Even though this is the so-called less, I won't call it budget anymore given the price and the features, obviously, but the less expensive offering, you still get that Dolby Vision HDR video recording, which is probably going to be an exciting thing in 6 months from now when more TVs and monitors support that. It's the latest Dolby Vision codec, so TVs and such do need to get updated if you've got a HDR TV. You can do it up to 30 frames per second at 4K resolution versus 60 frames per second with the Pro line because the Pro line has 2 gigs more of RAM. This has 4 gigs of RAM. Pro line has 6 gigs of RAM. Nonetheless, if you're looking at it, say, on the iPhone, which is already Dolby Vision HDR certified, boy, colors are rich and they do pop. And then it's compatible, backward compatible with standard definition monitors and TVs and stuff. So most of the time it looks pretty good. Once in a while I've seen it just get totally confused and things look a little over HDR'd and washed, but mostly it looks pretty good. And 6 months from now when there's more support on more TVs, man, you're probably going to just love this. Doubtless some of you will be bummed that there is still just Face ID and no Touch ID, given the fact a lot of us are wearing masks these days. You know, Apple lets you unlock your Mac with an Apple Watch. I wish they would do the same thing with the phones, so you actually, well, you know, Android can do that with watches. Why not? That would be a little handier. So yeah, there is a drawback. Some people have actually claimed that their phone has started to recognize them wearing a mask. Maybe that actually is a thing, but that's the way it is with iPhones right now. As ever, you get really good stereo speakers. This happens every time. I take a new iPhone out of the box and I play a video and I'm like, wow, you know, the sound is surprisingly good on this with the stereo speakers. You've got the usual IP68 water resistance, the usual years of operating system updates that Apple includes. So there's a reason why people like Apple products, folks. I know some of you are out there like, I sheep, but it's a good, solid, secure operating system with somewhat better privacy considerations than Android. So there's still a lot to like here. The phone has the same 2815 milliamp per hour battery that the 12 Pro has. So that's not so different from the last generation iPhone. And This is going to depend on what kind of 5G coverage area you live in, if at all. And yes, you can set your phone to 4G only instead of 4G and 5G. And Apple does have this feature where they will selectively enable 5G if you're doing something like streaming video where you need it versus if you're just scrolling through a Word document or something like that. You get the idea. Anyway, if you're in millimeter wave coverage area, which is that super duper fast, near gigabit speed for downloads, that gets the phone hot and also kills battery life. Doesn't matter if it's an iPhone, an Android, anything like that. So your battery life is obviously not going to be great, and you might even turn it off because who needs that much data speed on a phone? But if you're just in regular low band coverage, which is the most common, and even mid band, I haven't seen it really put a hit on the phone. We are in low and mid-band coverage area here, and battery life has been about the same as the last generation phone, which is to say 6 hours of screen on time easily. I mean, if you're just streaming video, you could do better, depending on the brightness you set it at. So that's the iPhone 12 for 2020. I think by far this is the most gorgeous of the non-Pro phones that Apple has made in quite some time. I do like the straight-sided design a lot. I like the vibrant colors this comes in. The price tag is less captivating than it used to be, obviously, since we've seen a price increase here, and the lines blur between this and the Pro in terms of which things are important to you. If you want more RAM, if you want the telephoto camera, for example, then obviously you're going to go with Pro. But what you get here for this price range is really good cameras, Dolby Vision HDR recording. I mean, you can record some very vibrant video, and even if you're looking at it in standard definition, it looks stunning. Great speakers, really premium build on this phone. I mean, Apple is doing a good job, and for this price, let's face it, they should. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos and hit the notification bell so you know about them too.